What is good, Defenders Nation, and welcome to the most LAFC podcast on the planet. That's right, this is episode 356 of Defenders of the Bank. You know my voice, it's the Scarf, J.R. Liebert. That's right, the mouth of the South Bay, back here on episode 356, ready to talk all about what was a rather dramatic week in LAFC history, of course. And of course, the dramatic draw in Portland. Lots of good things to take away from a 3-3 draw. Excuse me, my voice trying to take a little bit away there as well. Good morning, and most importantly to everybody out there, happy Easter, happy Passover to everybody who celebrates. And if you don't, come celebrate with us and hang out here on Defenders of the Bank episode 356. And yeah, it was quite the week in LAFC land. That's right. The huge news of the week, of course, is Steve Cherundolo stepping down at the end of 2025. We'll talk about a little bit about that at the end of the episode. We did a special episode that I actually just loaded up onto to Buzzsprout. Totally forgot to upload it, even though it was probably available on YouTube as a live. The episode is now up, so we can talk about that at the end of the podcast. Absolutely frenetic draw in Portland. That's going to be an awful fun to talk about. An awful lot of fun to talk about, excuse me. Chris Lafferty may be joining us from WrestleMania. He is not in the room right now, not pulling a John Cena. You can't see him right now, but he may be joining us in a little bit. We have Philly is live on location in Chihuahua, Mexico, ready to call the MASL final for the Ron Newman Cup. Chihuahua taking on San Diego Soccer. Soccer's winning in their home building in what is the most ridiculous form of home field advantage in all of sports. I can't remember a team being able to play all the way through the first leg of the final at home with all of their playoff games and all the other teams having to play all of their playoff games in their home too. I don't love it, but it's a cost-saving measure for MASL, and they wanted to show off the new arena. I believe it's called Front Wave Arena down in San Diego, or actually more appropriately, Carlsbad, California. So Philly's in Chihuahua. We got Lafferty in Las Vegas, and I am here in beautiful Lawndale, California, live, ready to talk to you about everything LAFC this week. We want to remind everybody, of course, that the Mo Facio futsal court fundraising effort is underway. The court being built in Cudahy. LAFC, the LAFC Foundation, and the 3252 still partnering to build that futsal court in Mo Facio's honor. I believe it's LAFC.com/Mo-Facio should be your link. And if that link doesn't work, if you're trying to donate, let us know and we will put you in touch with people who you can donate to directly. Let's get into our favorite opening segment of the show. This day in LAFC history, as well as going over just a little bit of news and notes from the week that you might have missed if you just follow along for the games. We want to make sure you get caught up on all the news and notes in LAFC land. First and foremost, this day in LAFC history, the match taking place on April 19th. And on April 19th, 1994, 2018 Super Draft pick, 24th overall Paul Calvet-Planellis, who retired not long after he signed with LAFC. Happy birthday to Paul Calvet-Planellis, our 2018 Super Draft pick, 24th overall, born April 19th, 1994. And on April 19th, 2019, a decision that will forever rock the hallways of LAFC. April 19th, it's taken my voice away so much that the decision is that important. April 19th, 2019, the Dole Whip. That's right, the Dole Whip, not the Dolo out whip, but the Dole Whip, now being served at Bank of California at the Time Stadium in section 118. That's right, the Dole Whip, now being served. It's still there at BMO, right next to King's Hawaiian, I believe. I'll have to go check that out next time. It's served at a couple different places now at BMO Stadium. If you want your Dole Whip, make sure you head on over right there next to King's Hawaiian. And this episode being recorded April 20th, 2025. First of all, hello to all of our 42 originals out there. Happy Easter to you. I would imagine Easter grass, very annoying for most families because it stays year round in the carpet and everywhere else. But for our friends at the 42 Originals, Easter grass, something that they look forward to. So welcome to all of our friends in the 42 Originals. But it's also a very happy birthday to former LAFC member Daniil Henry. So that is this day in LAFC history. I'm not sure if I should play like some Stone Cold Steve Austin music as he may come crashing through on the entrance. But I do give you the man who is soon to be at WrestleMania. This is LAFC Lafferty, everybody.
Good morning, everybody. Defenders, I'm still alive. I am night one, took a lot out of me of WrestleMania, but I'm back, baby. I am back. I am fired up. I am swinging steel chairs. I am body slamming. We pile drove Portland to tie it up at the end. I'm all fired up. It's good to be back, everybody. Coming at you live from Las Vegas. I got my chain. I've been on a whole nother level this WrestleMania weekend. I feel like I'm one with my people again. This has just been fantastic. But I'm so excited to be here with you today, Scarf, and with the millions
and millions
of Defenders of the Bank listeners.
That's right. And perfect timing because you and I get to talk about the news of the week. Obviously, the big news is Steve Cherundolo stepping down at the end of 2025 in what was, in any way that you slice it, a massive shocker of an announcement. Maybe there were some people close to Steve that kind of knew this was bubbling under the surface, but I have to say it took the entire LAFC community by storm. All the Dolo out people. Turns out Steve beat you to it. He decided he was pulling a Kobe and saying Dolo out before y'all could get to him. But Lafferty, I mean, he's been such a polarizing figure, but such a historic figure in LAFC's history, of course, winning us 2022 MLS Cup and 2024's US Open Cup. Your initial thoughts on Dolo out?
I had no idea. At first, I was scrolling through Instagram and I just saw LAFC post just a picture of Steve Cherundolo. Nobody else, nothing else. It was just him. And I was like, what happened? And then I read the caption and I was like, oh, like making a future announcement that he's leaving. I was kind of shocked at that, but I appreciate the heads up and the notice that it's going to be happening. And I was kind of stunned that he's moving back to Germany. And maybe that, I don't know if that's something that's been coming for a long time or if an opportunity arose for him to return back to a land where they actually appreciate him like they should. Making my feelings known a little bit there. But I was kind of shocked with it, but I just hope, I wish him the best. And I think it's great that he gets the opportunity to return to Germany. It had me reflecting a lot on the last 4 seasons with him here. And, a lot to be grateful for. And I hope that in time, people will look back a little more kindly on his tenure with us. And I'm hoping that with this, quiets down the people whose sole mission right now is just to call for people's heads and call for blood, and that they'll give him an opportunity to just do his job and just coach and see what we can do for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think the first thing that I was worried about after this announcement is which way the club might perform under Steve Cherundolo, right? Because there are probably, as there are with any coach at any time, there are probably plenty of players who are maybe unhappy under Steve Cherundolo, right? I would imagine, and I don't know anything in particular, but I mean, Yayaboa barely playing after being called one of the breakout stars potentially of 2025. There may be some others in the locker room who have been less happy with how they've played, if they're maybe on the younger side. I don't know. You don't know how a lot of these guys are going to feel. So you wonder what that will do to the locker room. I think the way that everything went in Portland, we can rest assured that there's not going to be an issue with the way these boys are going to play for Steve Cherundolo. I think that the other thing that I thought about very quickly too is, what this could do in a positive way for LAFC for the season. Circling the wagons, rallying around Steve Cherundolo, or saying, all right, screw it. If our coach is going to be a lame duck coach, then let's play for each other, right? Almost a little bit of major league style, right? Where the players decide, all right, we're going to do it for ourselves. But Steve Cherundolo still very clearly has a great rapport with the locker room. Steve Cherundolo clearly is getting the most out of his players. I don't know. It's been an interesting couple of days for us to digest. I do want to remind everybody, Cougar, according to Transfer Market, it is not his first red card. It is his second red card ever. He got one for Hannover 96. As he's headed back to Germany, I just want to remind everybody that Steve Cherundolo played 302 matches in the Bundesliga, 415 matches for Hannover 96 in a distinguished Bundesliga career that saw him play over 35,000 minutes. And I mean, a lot of people, we're all New York Metropolitans fans here, with the exception of, unfortunately, one Chris Lafferty, who doesn't know what it's like to have only a little bit of success over the course of a long amount of time. That was Steve Cherundolo's experience with Hannover 96. It's got to be said, right? Giorgio Chiellini retired, immediately took a job with Juve back home. And I think that it's something that I wouldn't be surprised, nor would I begrudge Steve Cherundolo if, as he heads back to Germany, and a lot of this is kind of being put on family, right? He wants to spend more time with family. He wants to bring his wife back to Germany, where she seems like she might be a little bit happier. We don't know. I don't want to speculate on any of those things, but Hannover 96 could do a lot worse than getting Steve Cherundolo on the bench. And I know you don't earn the nickname Mayor of Hanover without doing some wonderful things for the city and for the club, which he certainly did over an extremely long career at Hannover 96.
Well, I'll say this about Steve too. What I've had a different observation than a lot of people. A lot of people say, "Oh, I wish he had some passion, some fire on the sidelines and everything." Look, I mean, as a big wrestling fan, yes, I love the showmanship when coaches show, screaming and losing their minds and going absolutely ape on the sidelines and everything. But I think one thing that we are going to really appreciate with the last for this last season of him is that he actually does show a lot more energy on the sidelines than people give him credit for. I watch him a lot, particularly like during the matches, just because I like to observe just the operations of things wherever I'm at. A lot of that's a big part of my line of work is operations, and I always observe Steve where when something goes wrong, he will get into it with the officials, the fourth official on the sideline. Last week, he had to be practically held back from him. He was the game against New England, or no, the game against San Jose with Bruce Arena. It was kind of like a pissing match between who could get under the referee's skin more. And I think Steve does a great job of standing up for us when we need it. But also, he's very calculated in his movements, which I think people overlook. He's very calculated, but he has his attack dog in Mark Dos Santos, who will do a lot of his bidding for him. So it's not that Steve necessarily has to be the fiery guy. He has a whole operation running. He's got a system down and systems in place to make sure things are making moves happen on the sidelines, making sure there's communication with the officials, things being relayed to the team, all while he's taking everything in. So that's a big pro for Steve that I've always seen and always noticed. lot of people might disagree with me on it, but I'll stand by it, and I welcome any discussion. But my overall impression, going back to what we started with on this topic, was that I have a great respect for Steve Cherundolo as a coach, as a person, for everything that he's brought to the club. Yes, I would have loved if we won all the finals that we were in, but I appreciate him giving us the opportunity to be in them, which, if you look around the league, a lot of teams would kill to have the record we've had over the last 3+ coming on to 4 seasons. So there's a lot that I don't take for granted, even though I always strive to have better. But with that said, it's a job that I can't do. So you're not going to see me on the sidelines coming up next. So I wish him the best for the rest of the season and going forward. And for the rest of the season, he's got my full support.
Yeah, and I think he will definitely get the support of even the Dolo out crowd through the end of the season. One thing I will say, I don't want everybody to forget, he was assistant manager at Hannover 96-2. He was assistant manager at Hannover 96 for a little bit in 2014-15, right after his playing career ended. He was the manager of Hannover's youth academy for a little bit, and was also the manager of Hannover 96's U17s from 2016 to part of 2017. So I think there is writing on the wall there that he may be headed back. Look, he also worked for Stuttgart for a little bit. He was Germany's under 15s assistant manager for a little while. So he's clearly respected in the German coaching circles as well. And again, you could do a lot worse. He has been at the helm of LAFC now for 158 matches. And I just want to remind everybody that in those 158 matches, he has only lost 47 of 158 matches, 88 wins, 23 draws. For all of you out there that are throwing out ideas, there were a lot of good ones out on social media when I did the small episode. And that being said, we've heard Ante Razov. I know a lot of you want Giorgio Chiellini. I mean, look, way to make scarf streams come true. Not that I want Dolo out, but if we're going to lose Dolo and we get a Giorgio, holy heck of a handbasket. That could be a lot of fun.
But here's one though. One idea that's been thrown around, or one topic that's been brought up that I think is really important to talk about. And that is, well, why is he doing this now? Why is he saying this now? And if he's going to leave, why doesn't he just leave now? I don't like the idea of having a solid coach leave, or a steady ship, just totally sail away, and bring in the uncertainty of an interim coach. If we still have a really good team with a lot of potential going forward for the rest of this season, do you really want to just you want to risk everything with the potential turmoil that an interim ship could coach could bring in? That's like maybe throwing in a chicken with its head cut off and really wasting a season, if you think about it. So if you look at it that way. So I want to just say, I think this is the right move. I think it silences a lot of people and says, hey, okay, if you wanted me out, fine, I'll be going, but I'll do so in a way that still provides stability for this club to have a good year, instead of throwing complete chaos into the mix.
Yeah, and look, here's the other thing. I think it not only does it help LAFC start to begin to get their deck in order for next season, but it's got a lot of other, potentially anyway, it's got a lot of other clubs, not just MLS, but maybe European clubs or maybe lower level German clubs, whatever it might be. It's got a lot of other owners and sporting directors now looking over their shoulder, making sure their coaches are happy, because you could do a lot worse on the world football stage than being the head man at LAFC. Yes, obviously, it is not one of the big 5 leagues in Europe. We get that. But you have to be kidding me if you don't think that a lot of these coaches would love to come to the United States, to come to Los Angeles, one of the largest media markets in the world, and be able to say, I was able to bring one of the world's winningest cities in Los Angeles another championship, 2, 3, 4 trophy, whatever it might be. It's got a lot of other clubs around the world checking in with their head people going, hey, is everything good here? How can we make you happy? We don't want you leaving for Los Angeles. And I love what Genuine Cougar said. It's a very kind of anti-LA thing to do, to have a mature breakup and an amicable divorce like this, right? Like this is Dolo getting together with everybody and saying, all right, look, we're going to split everything amicably 50-50. You take the house in BMO Stadium. I'll take the car and head back to Germany in it, and everything will be great. Don't worry. And it's not even a divorce, right? It's really just a parting of ways, where I think everybody is able now to look back on the experience a little bit differently than, all right, guys, we hoist MLS Cup at the end of 2025, and we're there in Exposition Park for our big rally on Christmas Tree Lane. And then Dolo says, and you guys, if you think we're ready to run it back again next year, I'm leaving. And then just drops the mic and then walks out into the sunset. Like, we would be kind of pissed at Steve Cherundolo if he were to do something like that. But the good part is, after we win MLS Cup, we'll be able to hoist Steve on our shoulders, carry him around Exposition Park, around Christmas Tree Lane, into BMO Stadium, and back onto the pitch to have one more sha-la-la-la-la-la-la with Steve Cherundolo on the megaphone as we all celebrate another Cup.
I'll carry him on my shoulders if I have to, even if I'm the only one still chanting his name. But hey, if he brings us a cup, absolutely, and I'm sure a few more people would join me at that point. But I believe the term you were looking for in this day and age is conscious uncoupling, is what we would call it.
Oh man, I love it. I got to talk to my therapist about that one. That's going to be a fun one. All right, we've talked quite a bit about Steve Cherundolo. Want to talk about one more bit of news that came down the wire. LAFC's unified team has now been signed for 2025, and I want to thank our good buddy Carlos O'Day for the added info on all of this. LAFC held their signing day for the 2025 unified team members on Tuesday, April 15th. This season's team is looking to build on the efforts of LAFC's debut of the unified team last season against Houston. The LAFC Special Olympics unified team, created in collaboration with MLS Works and Special Olympics Southern California, and of course with support from BMO, unites individuals between the ages of 16 and 25 with and without intellectual disabilities to compete as members of one team. As part of the program, the unified team attends weekly training sessions, they play in scrimmages, and they play competitive matches against unified teams from other Major League Soccer clubs. There are currently 4 matches scheduled for LAFC's 2025 unified team. Friday, May 16th at Dignity Health Sports Park against Galaxy. Saturday, July 12th at BMO against FC Dallas, right after the game, just like Houston last year. Stick around after that game, Saturday, July 12th against FC Dallas, to see our unified team take on Dallas's unified team. Tuesday, July 15th at BMO Stadium against Galaxy, and Saturday, April 9th against Chris Lafferty's former club, the Chicago Fire. Location to be determined.
Quick note about that. Actually, I was talking with Chelsea from the LAFC Foundation, who also does leads a lot of this work here. And so, August 9th, the match at Chicago Fire, which at that point in the season will hopefully and should be at Soldier Field, not in the far-flung SeatGeek Bridgeview Stadium, wherever they played in the past. So hopefully at Soldier Field, which is right downtown Chicago. I bring this up because I've heard from a ton of people at the tailgates and through online that they're going to make that trip out to the Chicago Fire match, a place that we've yet to play at, I believe. We were scheduled to play there in April of 2020, and I was going to be at that match, but then obviously we know what happened in 2020. And this is our first time playing them ever since then, not counting preseason matches. So it's going to be a destination trip, but also the foundation and LAFC encourages everybody to stick around afterwards while you're there and support the Unified League, as they'll be playing the Unified Fire team afterwards. I'd say that last year you and I both did after the Houston match to support these players, and it was really inspiring. But I think it brings us back to just the real heart of LAFC and what this club stands for. Look, our games and our tailgates and our north, everything is so much fun and rowdy and raucous, but it at the heart of it, we're shoulder to shoulder, we're community, and we're standing with uh our brothers and sisters in LA who are in these programs or in these in these unified leagues that really are should be celebrated as well, and they don't get celebrated as often as a lot of or some other things, and this is a rare appearance for them. So I want to make it the best for them. So if you do get the chance to celebrate them after one of our matches, stick around and watch them play. It's really inspiring.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to remind everybody again, Saturday, July 12th, make your summer plans. That's when LAFC Unified Team and Dallas are playing at BMO Stadium right after the match against FC Dallas. And now, as you just heard Chris Lafferty talk about, Saturday, August 9th in Chicago. And again, hopefully at Soldier Field. So if you're going out for the Chicago match, Saturday, August 9th in Chicago, make sure you stick around after that. By the way, in addition to their 4 matches, members of the LAFC Special Olympics Unified Team will be selected to represent the club at Special Olympics Unified Sports All-Star Soccer Match as part of MLS All-Star Weekend, which will be pretty cool if you want an
really
All-Star
cool
Weekend in Austin. And I do want to take a quick second because we know that Carlos and some of the other coaches, we know that you guys share this information with your players. We want to make sure your players know how supported they are in this endeavor. By the way, last year's game against Houston Dynamo, the only one of the 2 games that I really remember well from that doubleheader on match day, that was, woo, I had some fun on that Houston match. But I want to take a second to recognize the athletes and the unified partners. There isn't a full coaches list, or else I would recognize all the coaches too. But again, thank you to Carlos for keeping us in the loop. Our athletes are number 1, Max Pascual. Number 2, Josue Foster. Number 4, Zachary Soto. Number 8, Douglas Molina. Number 9, Anthony Galiz. Number 13, Daniel Flores. Number 14, Jonathan Gutierrez. Number 15, Jaden Carbajal. Number 16, Kevin Ramirez. Number 17, Alex Sheet. I promise that's his last name. And number 20, Christian Fuentes. And our unified partners on the team are number 3, Haley Camacho. Number 5, Eden Hotch. Number 6, Alice Wardle. Number 7, Hannah Romero. Number 10, Giovanni Vasquez. Number 11, Noah Amezcua. Number 12, Joseph Trejo. Number 18, Miguel Gonzalez Davila. Number 19, Penelope Yado. And number 21, Andrew Correas. Just want to say thank you to all of the athletes, unified team members, coaches, and everybody involved with the LAFC unified team. And we, of course, are really looking forward to a fantastically successful 4-match season for all of them. Into a quick LAFC 2 and Angels City look. LAFC 2 have yet to play since we last recorded. We want to make sure that we remind you that on the road for their next 2, LAFC 2 will be taking on Real Monarchs in Utah on Wednesday, April 23rd, before taking on the entire Town FC on April 27th in beautiful Moraga, California, on the campus of the St. Mary's Gales. So make sure you head out to see LAFC 2 if you're in either of those cities. And on Friday, Angels City FC was absolutely destroyed by the visiting Gotham FC 4-0. Their first loss of the season came in spectacular fashion, as ACFC did not even record a shot on target for their first loss of the season. Yikes. Their next match is Friday, April 25th, when they head down to the House of the Mouse in Orlando, Florida, to take on Orlando Pride. And as a reminder, for all your ACFC needs, please be sure to listen to the Angel City Chicks and follow at Angel City Chicks on all your social media platforms. Lafferty, you started this episode when you came on talking about all your cool WrestleMania merch. I was curious, first of all, what shirt you have on for today, and if it has anything to do with what you'll be wearing to WrestleMania.
I've got my shirt for Bayley, one of my favorite wrestlers in WWE, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. She was a lifelong super fan, just like I was growing up, and she parlayed that into an entire wrestling career. So I just think that's dope how somebody goes from just being a fan to making it work and making it kind of their gimmick, and they're into WWE and becoming a multi-time champion. She was going to be wrestling on night 2 tonight, but she was attacked backstage and is no longer medically cleared to participate in the tag match. So that means that her partner needs a new partner. Who's it going to be, folks? If you couldn't tell, I'm very excited for that match. But somebody asked in the chat earlier, I'd have to scroll up to see who it was. They asked for night 2, my predictions, either Cody Rhodes or John Cena. Believe it or not, folks, I'm going with the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, to retain the WWE Championship.
The reason that I ask about the shirt is because I got a new shirt.
Hey!
This is the pre-match top that just went on sale, and it came very, very quickly. This one is the recycled plastics top that they do every single season, and we got one that is urine colored.
No, I'm
Yes. Powder
honeycomb
yellow.
is
Powder yellow.
honeycomb is the way I call it.
I mean, look, folks, this I just
No, okay.
I want to say a couple things about it. I want to say a couple things about it first.
Please do.
First, it's a little hard to see, but you can kind of see it. Those aren't wrinkles. There are all these little grooves and stuff on it that kind of look like a Zen sand garden with all like the cool little patterns and everything. So it's kind of a neat touch that you couldn't see on the advertisements. I have to make one more plea for all of us out there, Ruben. Please stop making slim fit and anything. This is going to be a surprise to nobody. I'm not slim fit. This is great. It fits slim. This is I'm a double X in the slim fit. But if Jason says if your urine is that color, go see a doctor. You're not wrong. All right, but I mean, it's cool. I would have just loved there's like a baby bluish color that they got this year instead of this one. I know we don't get to choose. I have no idea how it works. But I got it, and look, Rockstar, so it's a pre-match kit. I like it for a lot of cool reasons, but I'm not going to wear this color, and it's slim fit.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you look at the LAFC social media, I'm kind of a big deal. What can I say? That was me wearing the shirt in that video from 2 days ago. And
wait, back up. What video did I miss? Hold on.
Look on it was on LAFC's Instagram from Friday. They put a thing out with modeling the kits. So first they made the announcement on Wednesday, and then Friday they put up a video and a couple of pictures of people wearing it. And I'm one of them in the video right at the end, but also if you go to the still shots, that also is me at the top of the page with his head cut off. You couldn't tell it was me. But yeah, you're watching it right now. But so the way that I got that
wait. We got like this much of a Lafferty head going on there.
Yeah, but if you watch the video before it pans over to my face. They have two people in the beginning, and then it goes to different two people. That's me and Kiana from BMO Stadium Ops, I believe. And so the way that happened was we were all volunteers at that the Tree People forest cleanup part that we talked about on one of the previous episodes. And when we got there, I noticed a bunch of people wearing the jerseys, and I thought, wow, that was quick, because they just sent out the email that morning. I was like, there's no way they stopped at the store and picked them up. LAFC brought a bunch of jerseys for the people who were volunteering and gave them to anybody who wanted them, as long as, we offered to do some free modeling for them. So I said, absolutely. And I put the jersey on, and like you said, there's a lot of detail ingrained in the fabric, which was really beautiful. But I gotta say, I really liked the color. It looks good on everybody. I like that it had more of a gold hue. Yeah, you're showing the fabric right now. Really, it feels really good. It looks really good. Yellow is my favorite color, so I was enthused. I was really pleased with that. But overall, the feel of it was super comfortable. It's a very soft fabric. I've always loved what they've done with the Parley jerseys, and I've loved the light blue color that you mentioned before. We don't get the pick of it, but this one I really like, folks, and I like that we're able to kind of blend it in with more of a gold hue and keep it within the LAFC family color scheme. So if you see the match top at the HQ or online, I'd recommend wearing it. It might not be your game day jersey that you wear, and you wear something a little bit more. You wear something a little bit more, LAFC centric, black and gold particular. But hey, it's great for wearing around town, wearing at home, just out as a street shirt. It fits good for me. It looks good. I'm just really happy with it overall.
All right. Well, we can be on both sides of this fence, and it's okay. Lafferty is a male model for LAFC now. So it is what it is. All right, let's get into it. We got lots to talk about. 6 goals, 8 yellow cards, a red card in this one, and ultimately all of it was for 1 point apiece. LAFC heading up to the Pacific Northwest to Providence Park to take on Portland Timbers. And this is not the Giovanni Savarese Portland Timbers. This is the Phil Neville Portland Timbers, folks. And in his second season, he has remade the heck out of the Portland Timbers. Cougar, we may chat about that in just a moment at the end of the podcast, potentially. But these Portland Timbers, man, this is not the 5 yards and a cloud of dust, defend and try to win matches 1-0 Portland Timbers clubs of seasons past. Even with Evander, this was a very different Portland Timbers squad. A squad that goes full speed ahead, sometimes through you, sometimes around you, still just as physical as the Portland Timbers squads that we are used to, but much more dynamic on the attack. We talked about this on my One More Sleep episode. The 5 players who get the most minutes, 5 field players who get the most minutes, besides goalkeeper James Pantemis, are all under the age of 25. They are very young, they are very fast, and they are very fluid playing with each other on the ball. They obviously clearly do give up their fair share of goals, which I expected in this match, but they also score their fair share. I had predicted 3-2 in this one for LAFC. Little did I know I would be off by 1. There would actually be 6 goals scored. And look, we scored 9 goals between the two of us last year in the 2 matches that we played. We're already up to 6 in our first match against them this season. And Phil Neville's really got it working with this 4-2-3-1. Lafferty, I'll go ahead and take Portland's lineup if you would like to take LAFC's. And again, it's Phil Neville rolling out the 4-2-3-1. And surprisingly, not Maxime Crepeau. We mentioned it. They lost 4-1 on opening night with Maxime Crepeau in goal and decided to make the change to James Pantemis, who looked great in this match, had 3 or 4 incredible saves on Denis Bawanga in particular. I mean, Denis could have had, if you count the 2 offside goals, if you take Denis back about 6 inches total on those 2 offside goals, plus a couple of saves that James Pantemis made, Denis could have had as many as 4 or 5 goals in last night's match, He was absolutely on fire, was James Pantemis. The back 4 that they ran, Juan Mosquera, the 21-year-old Kiwi Finn Sermon, Kamal Miller, and the MLS leader in yellow cards coming into the match, who would add 1 to it, defender Jimmer Forey. I did predict he would get an early yellow and we could attack him for the rest of the match. He did get the early yellow. We did not attack him for the rest of the match for reasons unbeknownst to me. When the hell did Diego Chara become Diego Chara? They kept saying it over and over. I love my buddy Mo Edu I believe, was it Keith Costigan there as well? I don't know who he was with, but when did he become Diego Chara? I never heard it before. Maybe in his 174th season, he decided to switch it up a little bit and go from Diego Chara to Diego Chara. But by the way, he's also nearing 460 matches played in a Portland Timbers shirt. Yeesh. The heir apparent is now the player playing next to him, David Ayala. And up top, you have Santi Moreno, my player to watch, David da Costa, Anthony, and Felipe Mora, the three players that we would see off the bench. The one I was worried about seeing was Jonathan Cabecita Rodriguez. And I was right, playing in just his second match of 2025. Portland's leading scorer last year with 16 goals, even though they had Evander. Joao Ortiz and Kevin Kelsey, the 20-year-old phenom, were the three players that we would see. We would not, unfortunately, see Maxime Crepeau in this match. Your boy not playing in this one, Maxime Chanot, as well as Lorenzo Della Valle, Lafferty. But who would we see in LAFC's 4-3-3?
Scarf, in keeping with WrestleMania and the tag match I talked about, actually, I am completely doing this rudimentary. I only have my phone. I don't have my laptop and everything else to pull up the document with all the lineups offhand. I didn't have them memorized. So I'm making a quick tag back into you, my friend, and I'm letting you take over LAFC's lineup and do the brunt of this lineup read.
All right, well, let's roll through it then. We got Hugo Lloris, and then on the back line, Sergi Palencia, Marlon, Aaron Long, and Ryan Hollingshead. The midfield trio that we have come to know and expect. We got Marky Delgado, Igor Jesus, and Timothy Tillman. And for the second straight match up top, the same starting three. Denis Bouanga and Nathan Ordaz, flanked by Olivier Giroud. Eddie Segura, good morning. Olivier Giroud getting the start for the third straight match at the number 9 spot. And I'll say this. We have gotten a lot out of Olivier Giroud in these last two matches. I think it's because Olivier Giroud is playing harder than he was playing in some of those previous matches, not just because he's getting good service. I don't think he's getting any different service or playing any differently in terms of formation, or the boys are doing anything different tactically. I think Olivier is just playing a little harder. I still think he's running like he has a piano on his back. For all of you that are Dodgers fans from back in the day, he reminds me of Eric Karros running down first base, because I always thought that if Eric Karros just took the cement off his shoes and the piano off his back, he could be a pretty quick player, but he never did. He's slow is what I'm saying. Olivier Giroud is slow, folks. He just is now, but it is what it is. He is our number 9, and we love him. The three that we would see in the 18, a homecoming of sorts for Jeremy Abobasi. I think Portland and Turkey are probably very different from each other for Cengiz Under, and David Martinez, who would make instant impact for LAFC in this one. And Lafferty, look, we got 6 goals to talk about. We've got all kinds of fireworks, but just 80 seconds in, I think maybe the most controversial call of the season so far is the fact that I don't think, and many in the chat don't think, that Denis Bouanga was offside just 80 seconds into the match, and VAR took a long look at it. And my question is, why didn't it go in for a look for the head referee? It really didn't seem like he was offside. Now, Lafferty, I want everybody to know, full disclosure, Lafferty was in full WrestleMania mode last night, so I know he's been able to see maybe the highlights. Olivier Giroud in the chat has just called me out. He said, Scarf, I would still beat you in a 40-yard dash. Olivier, yes, but not by much.
Well,
yes.
Olivier, yes. I'll challenge you, though. We'll see how that goes. Being a proud member of the Black and Gold Running Club, I would love to see what I've got in the tank compared to a professional athlete. I get a little high on myself for what I've been able to do, but I would love to see what I can do against you.
For those of you wondering, that's only Lafferty's first mention of the Black and Gold Running Club on this episode. Possibly more to follow, but make sure you keep your counter ready.
Have I mentioned I ran a marathon before? How do you know if someone's run one? Don't worry, they'll tell you. But look, folks, and look, here's the beauty of things on Defenders. If if I took over reading the roster or the lineup for LAFC, you never would have heard the phrase "running with a piano on his back," which is one I've never heard before. And you know what? Hey, who knows? Maybe if Denis Bouanga had a piano on his back, he would have been, slowed down a little bit and stayed on sides. I don't know. I like this piano on the back concept. I think it's something, Scarf, that we got to start implementing. But
I like
again,
it.
like I
That's
said
how
earlier,
people
I can't coach soccer. I don't know.
look. That's how people think I run anyway. So that's fine. I have never been accused of being fast. So there is that. But no, look. What I don't understand is this: we pump in all this messy money into Major League Soccer. Happy Easter, J. David Wallace. We pump in all this messy money, right? We got all these things going on with Apple Television and everything else. And yet, every time I watch a Premier League match, they've got that cool graphic, right, with all the technology and everything, where you can see that, the guy's third hair on his left kneecap was offside because we have this cool technology. MLS, if you want to get taken seriously as a league, can we please get some sort of offside technology and not leave it up to Guido Gonzalez, who has to try and make this call? And by the way, that's his actual name. I'm not making fun of him. This is absolutely ridiculous that we don't have the technology. We're playing at BMO Stadium. We're playing at some of the newest stadiums in the country when it comes to these soccer-specific MLS stadiums. If we're going to make soccer-specific stadiums, let's put in soccer-specific technology so that we can figure out this VAR stuff. I do not believe for the life of me that Denis Bouanga was offside on that first goal. I will give you that he was a hair and a whisker offside on the second goal for sure. But I would much rather have the technology to be able to tell you definitively, both in the ball and on the sideline. And I think it is absolutely ridiculous that we do not.
Look, when we're playing in all these stadiums around the league, that some of them are a lot older. We talked about SeatGeek Stadium in suburban Chicago, which has been around since 2005. Same with down in Carson. Not a knock on them. A lot of MLS stadiums were part of that early 2000s, reshaping of the stadium landscape. Yeah. But a lot of them have come in within just the past decade with how this how the league has expanded. But not only are they new, but they've also hosted U.S. men's national team matches at them. Look at, was it St. Louis and Cincinnati have all had national team games, exhibitions played there. If you're going to be playing matches in these stadiums with World Cup teams, well, why wouldn't you have the best technology and the best options for them? I agree with you, Scarf. Yeah, the league should be outfitting every stadium, not whether they've been around for 15, 20 years or if they've just been around in the last 5. Everybody's got to get on board, and there has to be a standard set for the technological operations around the league.
Yeah, completely agree. There also has to be a standard set for not misplaying the ball in your own 6. And Sergi Palencia almost made a mess of things 5 minutes in. But don't worry, the mess would come soon after by Hugo Lloris, of all people. Felipe Mora beating Hugo Lloris to the spot where the ball was. And unfortunately, what happened next is Hugo got all of Felipe Mora and none of the ball. No argument on the PK call there. I mean, Hugo made a little bit of an argument, just kind of freeze Felipe Mora at the spot. And look, here's what I worry about. It should have been 1-0 us, and now all of a sudden it's 1-0 Portland. Felipe Mora, he provides them a veteran presence at that number 9, kind of the tip of the diamond with what Phil Neville was doing with his club. And what I saw was LAFC, when scored upon first this season, 0-4-0. That's 0 wins, 0 draws. So 0 points after being scored upon first. And I thought, this could be dangerous. And then honestly, like for me to see LAFC go down a second goal, which I'll get to in a second, I have thoughts on that. But Denis just offside again in the 10th minute. This one a little bit more clear. What I did like, though, Lafferty, about both of the offside calls was that Denis Bouanga put the ball away both times. So we already see he has a nose for goal. And look, I personally, of course, we all want Denis Bouanga to score every single match. But for exactly why he did what he did when he scored a goal in this match, we all wanted it for him for another reason, which we'll talk about in a little bit. 18 minutes in, and the MLS yellow card leader, Jim Rafori, picks up his 6th. That's right. He has clearly grabbed the torch from Diego Chara, who's still playing on the same pitch and still getting yellow cards. But Jim Rafori, he is efficient with this yellow card stuff. 9 games in, 6 yellow cards already for Jimmer. And the nice part is we have 72 minutes to attack a backline player on a yellow. So do we? No, we don't. No, we don't. You liked the piano on a back reference. My favorite of this match was Maurice Edu. As Anthony gets behind us on the counter again in the 20th minute. The pass by Juan Mosquera was called a peach of a pass by Maurice Edu. I enjoyed that. And we got Anthony banging one off the post. So not only do we have 2 goals called back for being offside, we're down 1-0 and we give up a post. It very well could have been 2-0 Portland that early after 20 minutes left.
Hey, look, and there's a question that was posed in the chat by J. David Wallace. And I really think it's a great question and kind of sums up what I'd been thinking too. He said, if we didn't fall behind, do you think we would have the same intensity during the game? We tend to play better and more exciting when we are chasing the game. That's a question that I've also wondered a lot throughout the season. I was seething during the San Diego game with how we played early on. And then you walk away kind of feeling like, oh, wow, we were so close because we just played so much better that you almost forgot about how bad the game started off. And with a game like this, where now you're up in Portland, which is, not an easy place for us to play and win historically either, we find ourselves down again. But I think emotionally, I think that was an extra driving factor for somebody like Denis Bouanga and for the rest of the team rallying around him, as well as it's something that lights the fire under them. And I love to see that our team responds to adversity the way that they do. I just hate that we find ourselves in adverse situations as often as we do. At the same time, there's got to be some meeting in the middle and some balance about figuring that out and getting off to better starts. I think that's one aspect of our game that we've got to improve dramatically. I'm just grateful that at least we have that ability to not sulk and feel sorry for ourselves and let the games get out of hand for another 3 quarters of the match. But going back to what you're talking about with Bouanga, how one positive you took away from the offsides calls, yeah, he's finding the back of the net with them, even if they're getting called back. Because what were the complaints that I was bringing up throughout the early parts of the season up until now was that he wasn't taking chances. He was just dancing. He was letting defenders collapse on him. And he's solving all of those problems. He's eliminating all of those habits. And now he's becoming the attacker that we've always known and loved him to be for the last 3.5 seasons. So there is a lot to be encouraged about. And I think, J. David Wallace, to your question, I don't know if we would have had that same intensity. I appreciate that we do get a fire lit under us as opposed to just sulking. But I would hate for us to have to get into a hole just to see ourselves dig us out of it and be happy with that. It's a great question. I would like to see them not getting that position to begin with anyway.
Yeah, no, look, you're absolutely right. Speaking of getting ourselves into a hole, I mean, we had 2 other great opportunities. We had Denis Bouanga, who really made lemonade out of absolutely nothing. He kind of passed this ball up and over kind of at Olivier Giroud, more than to Olivier Giroud, back to Denis Bouanga, deflected at the last second for a corner, and it was a fantastic corner by Denis as Timothy Tillman was there on the back post, if not for Pantemis getting a couple of fingers on the ball. Giggity, it would have been 1-1 Portland for sure. And then Denis trying an Olympico saved by Pantemis off of another corner. And then Nathan Ordaz from distance, Pantemis needing to dive to his left. We're putting it on James Pantemis, but he really stepped up. And I got to say, it was really frustrating to give up the second goal in the way that we did in the 42nd minute off of a throw that might have been 10 yards from the touchline, maybe 15. The fact that LAFC gives up a goal where the ball has to travel 70, 80 yards on several passes, and we look like they're just running a jailbreak play. The throw to Felipe Mora, then off to Anthony, who one-on-one beat Aaron Long pretty badly. Santi Moreno, the recipient of a beautiful pass. So 3 passes in, and you are in ton of space. And Santi Moreno, Hugo Lloris came all the way out, but then dropped down instead of, coming all the way out to attack the defender. Sergi Palencia was on the back line, but just not in the right spot to save it. Santi Moreno had all day. Portland now up 2-0 on a very, very frustrating second goal. And my thought was, damn it. All we needed was to get in maybe 1-0 or maybe catch them late in stoppage time, and we might have a 1-1 match on our hands. But instead we go down 2-0 instead of being able to go into the locker room just down 1. But Olivier Giroud said, hold my Syrah, an absolutely phenomenal set piece. Olivier Giroud taken down right at the top of the box. And Olivier says, okay, I know everyone's expecting Denis Bouanga, but absolutely electric. Finally scoring in an MLS regular season match off the underside of the crossbar and in a beautiful set piece goal. 923 minutes played. 923 minutes played in Major League Soccer regular season matches, and the streak is over. We go into the half, Lafferty. Instead of being down 2, now we're just down 1, and it's a moment of brilliance that we needed, have been waiting for, begging for. Sacre bleu. Thank you, Olivier Giroud.
And this is something you never would hear me say, but I'm so glad that it hit off the crossbar. And here's why. Well, I'm glad it went in. But hitting off the crossbar, when you watch it and when you listen back on it, it just adds that emphasis on it, that punch. You hear that boom, and it goes right in. Just if he's going to score one, he's going to do so with a little more panache, with a little more fireworks, with a little more bang. And Olivier Giroud seals the deal on his first MLS goal with the black and gold. And look, here's what I'm going to say. I've been supportive of Olivier throughout the whole season. Yes, I've been frustrated and I've been sad for him, mostly because I believe that he is working really hard and wants to be a better contributor. But for everybody that has been dogging on Giroud, saying things about him, I understand. I don't criticize you for it. I would just say, I hope now you celebrate him and his accomplishments for whatever he does for the team and any contributions just as much as you were ragging on him before. Because no matter what, he's black and gold. He's one of us. He's one of our guys out there. And this is something we should all celebrate, that the guy that we brought in to do this can now finally say that he's got something under his belt. And I'm hoping, you've heard me use this phrase before, I'm hoping it breaks the dam.
Yeah, look, you're absolutely right. We had a goal in the Leagues Cup final against Columbus that we lost, a goal in the Open Cup final that we won. But this one, again, his first MLS regular season, or, by the way, MLS playoff goal. Really happy to see Olivier get off the schneid. Olivier Giroud in the chat has just typed, and I put it on the screen. Thanks for the support, LAFC. I've been listening to the podcast. Scarf has been very negative towards me. All I will say is, yeah, I have. But you know what? This can be the start of a beautiful thing, Olivier. I can't wait.
Well, and look, that was my point. So I'm sorry to cut you off, but like to clarify something in the chat, Johnny, hello, my friend. He's like, after one goal, nah. Look, I'm not saying like, put him on our shoulders and carry around like he just won us a trophy. I'm saying, look, he hasn't performed the way that we've needed to or lived up to his contract up until this point. But if this is the catalyst to get him going, great. Let's support him and let's get behind him and hope that it continues. I'm not saying go out and buy his jersey, but I'm saying, hey, let's at least hope that it turns around instead of just writing him off.
All right, so we're about an hour in and we're only at the first half. Let's get through the second half and let's get to it quickly, just like Cabecita did for Portland as he subs on for Anthony. Anthony was kind of hobbling a couple of times there in the first half on the broadcast, and I thought, looks a little interesting there, maybe a little worse for wear, and he certainly was as he comes out at the half. So all they do is bring on last season's leading scorer in Cabecita. Denis Bouanga, shades of Thierry Henry with the double touch in the air and then turning and firing just wide. Again, Denis Bouanga could have had 4 or 5, maybe even 6 goals as he had another shot saved just 4 minutes later in the 56th, and then 2 minutes after that. Ryan Hollingshead banging one off the far post, so close to tying Graham Zusi at 31 MLS regular season goals. He just needs one to tie. And after about an hour, Steve Cherundolo making his first move of the match. Not a great night for, as Chris Lafferty calls him, the old razzle-dazzle, as Nathan Ordaz comes off for David Martinez. But instant impact for David Martinez 2 minutes after another James Pantemis save on Denis Bouanga. David Martinez from Denis Bouanga. But the credit needs to go to Timothy Tillman, who starts this one by splitting 2 defenders and getting the ball to the left side to Marky Delgado, to Denis Bouanga. Denis takes it all the way to the touchline, as we have seen him do over and over again during his LAFC tenure. And either right at the goalie or, as we saw here, David Martinez making a beautiful run into the 6. And just like that, we're level 2-2 for a whole 2 minutes. Jesus, Mary and Joseph here on Easter in the 66th minute. A beautiful cross from Juan Mosquera. And I think just awful defending by Marlon in this one. First of all, Cabecita beating his man with the header, who heads it across the mouth of goal as Felipe Mora streaking through. And Marlon, you got to put a body on the smaller Felipe Mora. Mora abusing Marlon, header into the back of the net. And just like that, we're now back down to, 3-2 after just 66 minutes. Lafferty, a very frustrating turn of events after a very fun turn of events for LAFC.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's going to be one of those back and forth things. It's going to be a struggle, as it always is in Portland. But I think it goes back to what we talked about with earlier, how we play from behind and how we play down and all this. At least we're still in the fight at this point. A lot of wind taken out of our sails, but we're still a team that is going to continue to play hard for the entire 90 plus, which is encouraging and is going to set us up for a lot of good opportunities. It's really difficult when, like we talked about, a goal from Martinez getting called back, or not called back, but then getting answered right away from the other team. It kind of kills some of our momentum for coming back. But I love that even in that moment, when it's not just a complete momentum shift in our favor after being down, it's a continued attack from Portland that we're still able to go ahead and and to keep fighting back and to let know that there is nothing that can break our back, not even a piano on it. Nothing can break our backs in a match like this.
Yeah, look, LAFC going down 2-0, Lafferty, and then coming back to tie at 2. You already had a lot of good takeaways, but I think we can, take a lot more from it for the latter 15, 20 minutes of the match.
Yeah. Hey, look, so Scarf, as you know, I'm in Vegas for WrestleMania.
Yes, sir.
I am going to, unfortunately, have to tag out once again. I sustained a career-altering injury on this one, for lack of a better term, and I do have to hit the road to get back to my festivities for WrestleMania. I just wanted to say it. I wanted to take this time while I've been on my trip to at least check in back with the Defenders. I know I had to miss the last couple of matches. The last recap, I had an emergency that morning. So thank you all for allowing me to be out and for supporting Solo Scarf on that one. Again, shout out to my friend Benjamin and his daughters for hanging out with me after the match last time. But I am going to have to get going to head back down to Allegiant Stadium for WrestleMania Night 2. Before I go, though, something really important that I wanted to bring up for a friend of, a friend of the pod, Julio Ramos. There's for those who haven't seen or if you're following Julio or have ever had the opportunity to meet him, unfortunately, he lost his brother recently, and it was his brother's final wish to be sent back and buried back in his beloved Guadalajara. And there is a fundraising effort underway, which I'll be sharing at some point soon. Or if you follow Julio online, I would just encourage everybody to give and support our dear friend if you're able to. That's it's really important to me. Julio's a great friend, great man, and I hate to see him struggling in this time. But as the community does, we rally around each other and help each other out when we're down. So. Sorry to interrupt the flow of the game day summary, but really wanted to bring that up. And Scarf, hate to do this, but I got to tag you back in and just say thanks for having me back on. Next time I won't be on vacation while we're doing this pod, so I promise I'll stick around for longer. But thank you to everybody in the chat. Thanks again, Scarf, and I will be seeing you all soon.
Absolutely, brother. Enjoy night 2, and we'll see you back stateside in a little bit.
Great. Thanks a lot, guys.
Later, bud. All right. So, by the way, first and foremost, we shared it on our story as well, and head on over to any of I think the 3252 had posted something about it. But our condolences to El Chivo Mayor, Julio, on the loss of his brother. How do you segue into Kevin Kelsey and Joao Ortiz getting subbed in for Portland? Not really sure how to do it, but I guess I will. Kevin Kelsey and Joao Ortiz on for Portland, Cengiz Under and Jeremy Abobasi on for Mark Delgado and Olivier Giroud. And again, Giroud with, the second match in a row, we're able to say it, his best match in an LAFC shirt. So there is that. In the 78th minute, though, a little bit of wackiness as Ryan Hollingshead gets called for the easy yellow for a tactical foul. And then Steve Cherundolo getting rung up for a straight red card. You could see the referee pointing to Steve Cherundolo's feet saying something like, look where you are, you're out of the box, whatever it is. I'm sure he didn't just get a red card for being out of the coach's box, whatever he said. Maybe it was French, maybe it was in German, not really sure. But Steve Cherundolo in the 78th minute shown a straight red, and he gets to go with team security, Paul, into the locker room in Portland's Providence Park. After that, the match would change just a little bit in favor for LAFC. In the scarf minute in the 83rd, Denis Bouanga denied again by James Pantemis, who was absolutely fantastic in this job, in this game, A great job by Ryan Hollingshead to win the ball. Denis getting a lot of it from the left side, but another fantastic save from James Pantemis. And then Denis Bouanga getting taken down in the box. Why do all these reviews take so long? But what happened was play kept going for like another minute or two in the 87th minute. And it was Diego Chara stepping on the foot of Denis Bouanga. And in the 90th minute, we finally got the goal that we were looking for. As I predicted on One More Sleep, Denis Bouanga, there would be no front flip. There would be no real celebration. He walked over to the sideline, lifted up his shirt, and on his undershirt, it very simply said, R.I.P. Aaron Boupendza. And for those of you that have not been following this last week of news in Major League Soccer, Aaron Boupendza, the 28-year-old striker who is currently playing in China, fell from his 11th story apartment complex. Unfortunately, died there in China. One of Denis Bouanga's very good friends and a winger with him on the Gabonese national soccer team for the last bunch of seasons. What was going through Denis Bouanga's mind in that moment had to have been extremely difficult. And I'll say this, the reason why James Pantemis had to have maybe his best night in goal as a keeper is because Denis Bouanga was playing not just with the fire of number 99, Denis Bouanga, the likes of which we have been so incredibly lucky to see over the past several seasons at LAFC. But he was playing with the fire of a fallen teammate and a fallen best friend in Aaron Boupendza. Our thoughts, our condolences, our prayers, and our well wishes, obviously, with the entire Boupendza family, and certainly with Denis Bouanga after he loses one of his best friends. So incredibly grateful that he was able to finally put one in the back of the net. We saw him sharing a nice moment with James Pantemis after the match on the broadcast. I mean, he must have just gone up to Pantemis and went, dog, you were a beast tonight. But because he was able to finally put one by James Pantemis from the penalty spot after earning the penalty, he was able to finally give this tribute to his fallen friend, Aaron Boupendza. Congrats to Denis Bouanga. I did say also, to make it more about LAFC for just a second, that after Denis Bouanga scored in the last match, that Denis Bouanga would indeed get to 20 goals scored this season. And Denis Bouanga now well on his way with yet another goal for LAFC in this match. We would have 11, count them, 11 minutes of stoppage time off of a dangerous set piece, off of a foul from Cabecita in which Sergi Palencia earned a yellow card. My player to watch, David da Costa, almost won it for Portland in the 5th minute of stoppage time as Hugo Lloris was doing his best giving tree impersonation at the end of the book. It's just a trunk sitting there, and that was what Hugo Lloris was on that shot by David da Costa. Oh my goodness. He actually banged it off the inside of the post, but the 11 minutes would end. LAFC would end it as a 3-3 draw, coming back from 2-0 down to be able to scrap a point in Portland. Yes, it's a little bit of a problem that we gave up 3 goals, but the response after going down 2-0, Olivier Giroud finally getting off the goose egg in MLS, Denis Bouanga scoring for his 2nd straight match. And if this is the Denis Bouanga that Major League Soccer is going to contend with for the rest of the MLS and then Leagues Cup season, Denis Bouanga might put himself right back in the Golden Boot race. David Martinez doing a thing there that we needed him to do, making the right run, being in the right space. And let me tell you this, it's match day number 9 in Major League Soccer, and our scoreline reads Olivier Giroud, David Martinez, and Denis Bouanga all scoring in the same match. Is there anything more that you might want as an LAFC supporter than to see your 3 most dynamic pieces on offense? And yes, Olivier, for 1 or 2 matches in a row, I'm putting you in that category. Our 3 most dynamic pieces on offense being able to all find the back of the net in the same match on the road against a very tough Portland Timbers team. Maybe, just maybe, this 3-3 draw in a week where Denis Bouanga loses his best friend, Steve Cherundolo announces he's stepping down at the end of the season, maybe, just maybe, coming back from 2-0 down in Portland and taking a point back home so that we can now sit 7th in the West on 13 points. Maybe, just maybe, this is the rallying point for our entire MLS Cup season. I love the way we responded at the end. I loved who scored tonight and how we played. And I think this bodes very, very well for our chances during the rest of the season. LAFC's next match is a full week away from today. That's Sunday. So 7 days in between matches before they play BMO Stadium, 4 p.m., 4 o'clock Pacific. That's 7 o'clock Eastern as St. Louis City FC comes into BMO Stadium to take on LAFC as we look to move up in the table. Yes, we are 9 matches in and Carson still without a win on the season. But LAFC hasn't done enough to bury Carson this year. It's not like we're streaking out in front. We're just a few points away from losing a playoff spot rather than being in a playoff spot. So I'm not trying to look all the way down the table at Carson right now. And while it's fun to see that Austin extended their winless streak to start the season 1-0, I don't really care about Carson right now. I'm looking through the windshield rather than the rear view mirror. But that being said, you guys, everybody, I hope you all have the most wonderful Easter. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy Passover to all those who celebrate. And again, from the millions and millions, thank you so much for supporting Defenders of the Bank, whether it's on Easter or Passover Sunday or any of the other 364 days of the year. This has been episode 356 of Defenders of the Bank, and you know how we like to end each and every one of these episodes. Bye-bye.